All right, here's our head gasket continued. So we got timing cover, timing chains, sprockets. The heads are off. We're way deep in there. That was the cylinder with the issue. But we're going through this and gonna do proper head gaskets. So check this out. So here's our head. There's a couple critical things. If we're gonna flip this head over, these buckets right here, probably the logical thing would be to take the buckets out and lay them out and organize them. You understand why we can't mix those up? Do you? These are the thickness. Remember we talked about that in the lecture. So if I flip it and these start falling out, I got to figure out where they came from. But I'm going to try to do this pretty carefully. It's okay if we lose the paper towels. So it's a gasket. We're still okay. At least might have lost one, but it's all right. So this is the head gasket that was leaking. This is the head gasket. If we look at this head gasket and we lay it how it came off, the straight edge right here is where the timing cover is. We know that this cylinder had coolant intrusion. You know what that means, right? Yeah. Coolant was making it into the cylinder. And the other way too. Compression was leaving the cylinder and going into the coolant passage. So we want to give this a real careful look. See if we see any issues. What type of thing you think I'm looking for? Cracks. Yeah. And the one thing I noticed, get this on camera pretty good, it looks hot right there. It kind of looks like the head lifted. Either this gasket's bad or possibly the head has lifted. So we gotta be very thorough in our inspection, because while yes, we diagnosed it as a head gasket, again, we don't know for sure that it's actually a head gasket, or it could be more like a warped head, a cracked head, etc. So if you take a look at this head, it's not ready for inspection. Why not? You see all this?
All that gunk.
We got to clean it. But before we clean it, we should give a good close look. Sometimes you can see where it was passing through. So come on over with that camera. Look over here and then compare to here. It's brown. It's definitely got hot right there. This is where coolant from that jacket was passing into the cylinder, for sure. So we're definitely going to be very concerned about that area. But what we're going to do right now is a little bit of gasket prep. Eddie, will you do me the honors of hooking up that whiz wheel? Mm-hmm. And we need the scraper, which is right about down there. So I'm going to do some gasket prep. This is aluminum, so we have to be especially gentle. If it was iron, it's a lot more forgiving, but aluminum, you know, it's easy to grind away aluminum. Okay, scraper is in that drawer still. I don't know about that. Although it doesn't really need much for a scraper. A lot of the loose stuff is off. So I'm just going to jump on it. Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. Okay, you can use a steel razor blade. But what's going to be more what's going to be stronger, steel or aluminum? Steel. I could literally scrape the aluminum with this. So I'm going to kind of pick and choose. I might do some back dragging on this to get some of the bigger stuff. I could also scrape, but I can't gouge it. So if you start seeing aluminum flake off, you're doing it wrong. But like I said, this one's actually fairly close. So it probably doesn't need a whole lot actually. So I'm going to jump right over. Plastic roll-lock disc. Which is stronger, plastic or aluminum? So now we're safe. I'm going to try to keep it pretty flat. Let's go ahead and pause. Alright, so we're probably looking fairly good. So, what do you think we should do next?
Clean the surface with brake clean?
Yeah, brake clean will be good to start, just to get some of the oil. And then I'm going to start a process. We're going to do some straight edge, some feeler gauge work. Then I'm going to start a process, and I'm not going to explain it until I'm halfway through it, because it needs 10 minutes of set time. So I want to get this checker on, and then we can talk later. Too much talk. Okay. So what am I about to do with this straight feeler gauge? By the way, this straight edge. This edge should be protected, so we don't do anything stupid. What do you think I'm about to do? I'm especially wanting to lay it right here Actually doesn't look like we're gonna have a problem. How could I measure it? Who knows what the maximum warpage is? It's probably gonna be something like 0.02 of an inch. So what I'll do is I can go, this is 1.5 thousandths. So this small wiggly one, I'm just gonna go right for that one. And because I saw that burn area, this is where I'm really concerned. Well, I'm a little bit surprised. It doesn't look like it's gonna take. It did right there where the jacket was. Other thing I could do is lay it where I think, and I can set this on there, and look, it's tight. So does that, what do you think? It's not really a low spot right there. That's actually pretty good. The other thing you could do sometimes, if you lay it just right, you can lay it on the side, and you can actually look for light too. And this looks surprisingly good. I'm a little bit surprised. And again, we're gonna check all of it, but I was especially concerned where those burn marks are. So when you're new, like when I was, you get in the habit of just ripping it apart, slapping the head gasket on there, and you may overlook something. What are you guys gonna do at the dealership at this point? I'll give you a clue. You're not gonna do it. Send it out. Yeah, exactly. Send it to the machine shop. Machine shop's gonna go through all this. And that's okay, because they'll take the liability. But I want to show you what you could also do. They're also notorious to have space right here between the cylinders. That would be a different type of head gasket failure. What do you think that would cause?
Multiple cylinders to misfire.
If this was cylinders 1 and this was 3, we'd probably misfire on 1 and 3, and we'd have low compression on 1 and low compression on 3. A head gasket doesn't cause 1 and 5. Only neighbors. They would call that, here's the key word for you, adjacent. Alright, so this head actually looks pretty good, straight edge wise. The next step, this is actually crack detection. So this is a penetrant, this is a developer, this is a cleaner. We're going to start with the cleaner. The cleaner is just going to ensure there's no contamination. We can actually just dust it on like this. Okay, and then I am, you guessed it, cleaning. Okay, and then the next step is actually this penetrant. So with the penetrant, we've got a couple options. You can spray an area you think is suspect, but in this case, you could spray the whole head. Alright, now I sprayed that. We need to wait, you could say 10 minutes. It actually calls for as little as 1. So let's pause the video and discuss. So after the setting time, we can go ahead and use the same cleaner. Don't spray it right on there because you're going to rinse it out of any cracks. Wet the paper towel. We're just wiping the excess. So you see how I'm breezing over the surface? I'm not really trying to scrub it. Don't try to scrub it. You like it? And what do you think the purpose of this step is?
To see if there's any cracks.
So if it's not in a crack, it's laying on the surface, right? And this should easily wipe it off. If there is a crack, do you think my light wiping is going to get it off?
No.
Exactly. So that's why we're not scrubbing, and we're just using something similar to like a paper towel, nothing really with bristles that's going to reach down into the crack. And realistically on this one, you know, we probably could have just done that one area, because we know that that's the cylinder that had the issue. But I think if you're going to do it, you might as well do it good. Plus, if you guys send something to the machine shop, you know, a lot of times they want to know why you're sending it. So if there's a problem with cylinder 1, if you send it to the machine shop should know that it's cylinder 1. All right, the next step, we need to do a developer. So we cleaned it. This developer we're going to dust on everywhere we sprayed that stuff. Should be like just a couple inches away. Okay, and then again we need to wait like about 10 minutes. So remember the steps: cleaning, spot checking, let it sit, clean the excess, developer, let it sit. 10 minutes, come back with the cloths. So after set time, you can take a look. Any of this red indicates kind of like a low spot, but what we're looking for is a full-on crack, which we're not seeing. A crack would look kind of like, I'll even try to draw it. Like let's say it was in that area. It would be red, but it would look like this. But that was just me with the Sharpie. So this head is actually looking like it's going to check out, which is good. But we need to check the other head, and then we still have quite a bit of gasket prep. You know, you could also do the straight edge on the exhaust manifold, on the intake manifold ports, but the head itself is looking probably pretty good. So when we're done, we can clean this up. You see it just kind of flakes off there. Okay, so that's how we're going to do this. This exact process we could do on the block as well. At a minimum, you really would need to do the straight edge. And because that one's been prepped and clean, I'm going to hand this over to the team. They're going to do straight edge and the 1.5 thousandths feeler gauge. Okay, and then we'll be ready to put our head gasket on and continue the job.